You have selected the shorter training mission. Your aircraft starts in active pause within visual range of our fleet. Head towards the trailing most ship. The U.S. Navy defines 3 different types of recovery to this training mission. Please be aware that you can press. We have just unpaused the simulator. Please increase the throttle to keep a speed of at least 300 knots and trim the aircraft for stable and level flight. Today we have a crosswind from our left, so the HUD's pitch ladder and velocity vector are shifted to the right of the display to show the actual aircraft flight path. This is called uncaged HUD mode, and it is the default mode of the HUD. In anticipation, the flight ladder and the velocity DCS shows on our monitor a simulated point of view that, depending on our hardware and software configuration, sometimes does not provide a good view of the aircraft's HUD. Press backspace if you need guidance on setting up a proper viewpoint, or press spacebar to leave it as it is. The sim is still paused, so let's proceed to adjust your point. Now press the Enter key on the numeric pad. If you are using a head tracking device, move your virtual head forward or back. Next, move your virtual head up or finally, zoom the view with the slash. Press the keys Right Alt plus the 0 of the numeric pad to store this custom. If you are using a head tracking device, this completes the point of view adjustment. From now on, flights with the T-45C will employ. This mission does not employ the supercarrier module of DCS, so our carrier communications are highly simplified from the real-life com. We will employ the COM-1 radio, as currently it is the only one that has a P. For this mission, the carrier's ATC frequency is 255.75 MHz, and it is already tuned on the COM-1 radio. Press the PTT binding to initiate communication. The DCS communications menu should appear. Select F5, ATC, F3, CVN 74 John C. Stennis, F1, inbound. The carrier's ATC should answer with the heading and distance to the carrier. Take note of these values and press spacebar once you hear its answer. The carrier recovery circuit requires quick and precise control of your aircraft. Taking your view down, to click at aircraft, so, you must bind them onto your HOTAs, the important one, speed brake, if possible bind, flaps lever. Again, employ a 3-way switch if available. Landing gear, on the sample figure, I'm running out of buttons, so I employed a modifier, button 3, to have the same switch perform 2 functions. The holding altitude assigned to our flight is 2,000 feet, and the holding stack takes the form of a circle to the left side of the carrier, as shown on the picture. We have unpaused the mission. Begin a descent so that you reach 2,000 foot altitude by the time we reach 10 nautical miles from the carrier. Set the low altitude warning cue to 2,000 feet on the data entry panel, to get a warning if we get below that level. Make use of the trim bindings on the HOTAs, to make more subtle changes to the pitch attitude of the aircraft. If you want, you can make use of the time acceleration bindings of DCS. Make sure to have the aircraft in stable flight before accelerating time. Don't maneuver the aircraft while on time acceleration. Return time to normal before touching the stick. We will interrupt time acceleration whenever the mission needs your attention. You are now at 10 nautical miles from the carrier. As there are no more aircraft waiting for recovery, we will immediately proceed to enter the recovery pattern. Head towards the trailing ship of the fleet, reduce speed and altitude, so that you arrive over that ship at 250 knots and 800 feet.
222. Cleared for visual. Contact tower.
Once within 5 nautical miles from the carrier, ATC will contact you with the message cleared for visual. Contact tower. At that point, press the
222.
PTT binding and
Request landing.
select F1, Request Landing, to confirm your intention to recover onto the carrier. You are now just over the trailing ship. Turn hard left. The carrier heading is 10 degrees, fly parallel to it at 250 knots and 800 feet. Aim for the ship that is ahead and to the right of the carrier, where we will initiate the brake maneuver. Extend the tail hook, using the H key, or by clicking on the hook lever. Initiate a level brake to the left, strive to maintain 800 feet until you have completed the brake. Extend speed brakes, increase throttle if the speed falls below 170 knots. Extend landing gear and flaps, speed should be 225 knots. Descend to 600 feet and use trim to attain optimum AOA speed. Check speed brakes. Downwind heading is 190 degrees. We are now on the downwind leg of the carrier recovery circuit. At this point the pilot should perform the landing checklist. I've paused the mission to have time to explain each step. Landing gear, confirm it's down, by looking at its 3 green lights. Flaps, check that you have full flaps deployed, by looking at the flap indicator. A resting hook, confirm it is down, by checking its lever. Speed brakes, check they are extended, by looking at its lights. The recovery circuit is done with the speed brakes deployed in order to keep the engine on a higher power setting, useful in case of a missed recovery. Anti-skid, confirm it is off, either looking at the switch or at the advisory light. Press spacebar to unpause the simulation and continue the circuit. Now turn left, towards the ship just behind the carrier. Maintain optimum AOA speed and descend to 500 feet. Turn left again to enter the groove, maintain optimum AOA speed and place the FPM at the intersection between the angled deck and the forward deck. Touchdown. Power to max, retract speed brakes. Once the aircraft has stopped, reduce power to idle and allow the aircraft to roll back a short distance. Hold the wheel brakes to prevent the aircraft from moving and raise the hook. Taxi out of the landing area as soon as possible to let other aircrafts land. Use high gain nose wheel steering and 70% power to expedite your exit. Our aircraft can't interact with the deck crew. You should locate a free spot to park on your own and taxi there by yourself. While taxiing, retract the speed brakes. Press spacebar once you are parked. Press backspace if you want to learn the after landing and shutdown procedures, or press spacebar if you prefer to end the training now. Once at your parking spot, perform the following checklist. Ejection seat handle, set to safe. Speed brakes. Confirm they are retracted. Flaps and slats, set the lever full forward, to their up position. Trim, set to 0, referring to the gauges. VOR and TACAN navigation equipment, set to off. Heads-up display, set to off. Pitot heat switch, check it is off. Strobe lights, confirm they are set to off. Parking brake, set. Multifunction displays, turn both off. UHF-VHF radios, set both to off. On the oxygen panel, set both flow and anti-G controls to off, and cancel the alarm by pressing on the master alarm button. Before shutting down the engine, ensure the throttle has been at idle for at least 30 seconds to cool the engine. Throttle, move to off, by clicking its finger lift. Canopy, open by clicking on its lever. 45 seconds after setting throttle to off, set both battery switches to off. Set all remaining switches to off. On the front cockpit, set the engine switch to off. Congratulations, you have successfully finished this training mission. On the next mission we will learn the Case I carrier recovery procedure. For now please exit the training by pressing the spacebar key.